All right, so that's the email that I sent you. It just says test, and if you copy that folder to your desktop and unzip it, it's going to have this in it, two files, an index.html. You might want to rename that in case you've already got an index.html on your IWT Rankin, so I'll just rename mine test. If you got a test, then call it something other than that. All right? And this file, this test.exe, you can see how simple it is. I created a simple C# file, put a button on it, you click the button, it says hello. But we're going to attempt to copy all of this stuff over then, both these files, over to your iwt.rankin.edu. All right? So, do you remember how to get into iwt.rankin.edu? Well, I know you don't, but does everybody else remember how to do it? All right, how do we do it? Go to FileZilla. So literally you can just type into your search box, Colin, down here, FileZilla. All right. And that should come up with showing this on the screen. All right. And that starts up FileZilla. This is a program that, and if you get this thing up, I don't know, I get this every once in a while, just close that. But this is a program that what you're going to be able to do, just so you see this, over here, Colin, this is everything that'll be on your desktop in just a second if it's not there now. This is what's going to be in your Rankin account. All right? And after you move that stuff over, ideally if everything works, then anybody, even external from here, can get to that stuff that you're going to put in there by typing in iwt.rankin.edu/cfugner, etc. Does that make sense? All right, so that's what we're doing. So over here, again, is your desktop. So if you're a host, what do we put in for host? I don't remember. Is it iwt.rankin.edu? iwt.rankin.edu. Your username should be the exact same name as how you log in. It should be your first initial, I think. Did we do it first initial and last name? Yes. All right. Mine's a little different, but your password is what I just gave you. All right. If you didn't have it, or if you do have it, hopefully you know what that is. The bad thing for me is that my password has changed about a dozen times since I did this last. Yes.
Do I need the server or the
Geez, I don't remember. What? Client? Okay, I'll take Evan's word for it. Client. So, like I said, I don't even know. I probably won't be able to log in. I'll probably have to get back in and put in my right password. There's no way this is going to, no, that's not it. All right. For your port, it says the default is 21. That's what you want. And then after you put that in, you do a quick connect. Now, mine's going to come up and it's going to say, again, could not connect. The reason I can't connect is I've got the wrong password in there. Don't know what my password is. All right. Was everybody else able to connect? You're getting error messages? What are you getting? Yeah. Well, then I'll have to go back in and I'll have to reset everybody's password. All right. And I've got a bunch of instructions on how to do that. I'll have to do that in a bit. But ideally, Colin, especially for you, after this, what we should be able to do. What you're going to eventually have to do is over here, okay, over here, which is this is on the Rankin server. You are going to right mouse click on here and you're going to add a new folder. That folder will say portfolio. That's where you'll put all your portfolio stuff. Everybody's going to have to do that. Do you hear that? Everybody. That's part of your grade for your portfolio. All right? And then to test it, you'll be able to come to your desktop and grab from your test folder, or your test.e, whatever it was, test.exe folder, whatever the heck it was, you'll be able to grab those two files, highlight them, and drag them over to here. Then what you're supposed to be able to do is just open that, and then that should work. According to what Evan told me, if you bring your executables over and you put them in the same folder and you put hyperlinks to them, they should work. He said that's what his students have done, and it's never been a problem. So
Hyperlinks for the executable of the C#.
what you're going to have to do is for all those C#, okay, so for instance, here's my C# stuff, and I've got probably over 100 programs in here in different places. But let's say that the one we wanted to do was demo bank event. Let's say that's what you wanted. You can, if you want to, you can bring that whole folder over if you want to do that. But really, it depends on how you want to do it. You can bring the solution over, but inside of there, if I double click it and I double click here and I double click on bin and debug, that's where your executable is.
But it doesn't follow the path.
No, if you drag it over, then the path, that all goes away. Now it's up to you. I don't know how I'm not trying to think of the right word here, granular, I guess, you want to get with this stuff. You can copy over your source code files and your executables, or just your executables. All right, I don't care which way you do it. But if you do your source code files, you might want to just link to all these just using hypertext, A tags. Yes.
I've done that, and it doesn't work.
You've
You
done.
copy the folder and you can path it that way or whatever.
That's why I'm saying, I would just copy over the executable and then just link to the executable in your file. Well,
I've tried it like multiple times.
this is what he told me. We went back and forth.
Yeah, I'll show you what I would do.
I believe you. But I'm telling you, this is what I'll give you the whole thing. Hi, Evan. My students have been upgrading their electronic portfolios to put on IWT.Rankin. My question is this. If a student has a work page that shows examples of all their different stuff, is it possible to link to their executables from this work page? If so, is there a protocol for how this is done? Any help you could give me would be appreciated. He wrote back. If they create a link with an href equals the name of their executable.exe, that should automatically download the executable. If there are additional files associated with the executable, they'll want to zip up a folder and link to that folder.zip. So you can try that. All right. Again, until I get everybody's password reset, we're not going to be able to try much of anything. All right. So then I wrote back to him after that. The plan for students is to put links to about 6 or 8 of their C# programs and separate links with executables. Does you comment? So does your comment below still work? And he wrote back and said, yes, that should work. If they zip up each program in its own folder and link to them, they shouldn't have any issues. All right. So when you did that, did you take your whole C# program and make it a zip file and then try to link to the zip file? According to him, if you do that, it should work. Now, you say, well, geez, what if it doesn't? Then I'm going to have to get a hold of him this afternoon, all right, to try to find out why. Because if, I put this off way too long, but we've got to get it done by tomorrow. If for some reason we can't link to it, then that part isn't graded. But the rest of your portfolio will be graded. I expect it to be upgraded, and I expect all those other changes that we put in to be put in there. Does that make sense? All right.
MySQL, but all we need is just like to download the worksheets in the database, like pictures.
What I would do, the question was with the MySQL, this is what I would do. All right, if you've got the worksheets, I would download the worksheets. If you have to, if you want to put the answers on there, and if you've got them in a text file, just copy them over to Word. It might not be a bad idea to put them in red. And what you also might want to do is, if you had any errors, you might want to fix those errors. So if somebody looks at them, all right, But again, this is what I do. You may or may not agree with the way of doing this. If you want to do it a different way, if you get it done, that's fine. But what I would suggest, where do I have that? I think I put it on the E drive now. And again, this is my suggestion, is if you remember at the beginning of the semester, we did this. I would recommend you bring over that picture also, because that way anyone who looks at it can figure out what it was you were asked to do and how you answered it. Does that make sense? That's how I would do it. All right? Now, how you do this stuff, again, is going to be up to you. And that's what I'm telling you. You know, with some of you, and there's nothing wrong with it, you might have just had a bunch of hyperlinks in here. For instance, you might have had a link here that said HTML5. All right? And that was a hyperlink. And then you might have had another one that said CSS, and that's a hyperlink. One that says JavaScript, and that's a hyperlink. One that says Bootstrap, and that's a hyperlink. And now one that says C#, and that's a hyperlink. That's not bad, but what you may want to do instead of having a hyperlink like that is you might want to start thinking about putting an image in there. For instance, you could put in the HTML5 logo, and when you click on that logo, it could open up all the different, a file that has all the hyperlinks to all your assignments. Does that make sense? I want this thing to look professional. All right? Again, I've talked to Charles, and this summer, he's given me some time. I'm going to be going around to different companies, giving them my card and giving them the links to all of your portfolios. So, well, can I see an example of the work your students have been doing? That's what it's going to be. So what's going to distinguish you from everybody else, all right, in the class is how you set up your portfolio. I don't want them to be generic. It's just like when people write programs. I've had this happen before. I don't know if I've had it happen here or not, but somebody will write a program and they'll say, you know, we went over this program in class today, and I already did it myself, and I didn't do it the way that you did it. Good. You know, I've said this before. You might laugh. It's not meant to be bad humor or anything. My wife will tell you there's already one too many Jeff Scotts in the world. All right? I don't want you to be clones of me. I want you to develop your own style. For right now, look at it that your portfolio is kind of your way of getting your foot in the door. Does that make sense? That's why, like I said, on your homepage, I want it to look very professional, just a small picture of you in there, however you decide to do it. I would just have it be a headshot. You know, let's say you like basketball. I wouldn't have you dribbling a basketball. That might work if you were trying to get a job with a sporting goods store to write their, you know, but it should just be something simple like that. However nuts you do or don't want to go with your site is up to you. I will tell you, this is not a threat, but with the way some of you wrote last semester, you wrote your portfolios, you're going to have a hard time getting a passing grade if you don't change them drastically. All right? Because they didn't look very professional. And I've already told you. You say, well, how do I know whether or not, you know, that you can go out there and you can type in e-portfolios and stuff. I don't expect it to look like these people who are doing this professionally. I don't expect yours to look the way theirs does. But I expect yours to look as professional as it can for someone who has now gone through the first year of a 2-year program where you went through, except for one of you, an entire class on how to create websites. Because really your electronic portfolio now has become, with 3 or 4 pages, has become a website. All right? All right, so I will reset all of your passwords. One more thing I wanted to tell you. You may or may not care about this, but you ever get these things where, you know, you're out on a website, and for instance, I was out on W3 Schools, and they sent me a link that said, create beautiful Bootstrap websites without writing a line of code, which intrigued me. All right. So I went and followed the link yesterday, and I found this package. Now, is it good? I don't know, because they said in order to use it, they had to send you a password, okay, after you set up. And I waited for 4 hours last night, and they never sent me the friggin' password. It was finally there this morning. All right, so I don't know, because I haven't tried it yet, but I wanted to show you this in case you're interested in it. It's, again, you say, well, it's way too late to look at that. Then don't look at it. But it's something you might even want to consider for your next go around on this. Where is it? It's actually literally, it is from a place that is in the Netherlands. So that's why when I looked at it, I thought, that sounds a little weird. But this is it. Again, I can't do any more with it because I got to put my password and stuff in. But they've got all sorts of stuff in here, and you literally drag and drop. So if you're interested in looking at it, it's called, I'll write it on the board here, MOB IRISE.
That for free?
.com. It's free. Now, it's free, but I'm not sure how much manipulation you're able to do on it, because they have a part of another product for it that isn't free. All right, and that's $70. Now, I would never expect you to pay it for anything like that. MOB, not MOR. So I think it's Mobarisi, but I'm not sure. All right, so create awesome mobile-friendly websites, no coding, and free. I did check. I ran through where people said, I ran through reviews of it to make sure it wasn't, somebody sent me put a bad link out there or whatever. But this is what they claim. So how it works, they have a little demo. Notice what it is. It's literally drag and drop. And they claim after you drag and drop that you can change images, you can change text, etc. If you're interested in it, fine. If you say, hey, I'm already working on mine, I'm not doing that, then don't do it. But it's one that you might want to consider, because remember that at the end of December, so at the end of this year, when we finish our third class, the ASP.NET class, then you're going to be adding links to ASP.NET to your portfolio. Does all that make sense? All right, so I will come in right now. I will try to reset everyone's password. After I get them all reset, I will tell you, and you can try to get in and let me know whether or not it works. All right? So just give me it'll take 10 or 15 minutes to reset everybody's password. All right? And if you haven't done so already, I'm hoping, I haven't checked, but I'm hoping that everyone has turned in the third worksheet. I'm going to grade those this afternoon. So if you have turned them in, not a problem. If you have not, get them in, please. I do want to spend about an hour tomorrow going over those. But I don't want to take any more of your time than that, because tomorrow's it. All right, so when you leave here, I don't want you to have to go home and do anything. I want you to start your break. All right, so your portfolio is due tomorrow. All right, enough.